All right, it is Figgie and the Moose on this Wednesday right here on Pix 11 Plus. And Figgie, we are 18 hours away from the MLB trade deadline. That's it. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m.
Huh?
Eastern time. That's it. July 31st, as we're counting down the days of summer. Another heater out there today. So make sure to be safe if you are outside. But Yankees making a little small move. We'll get into that. But hopefully, Figgie, we have a very, very active next 18 hours.
Doesn't it seem like we've waited too long? Doesn't it seem like waiting to the last 18 hours, something should happen? Or will it really be just the Mets and Yankees making moves in 18 hours? Like baseball, this whole trade deadline, because of how many teams are in it and within the wild card, they're holding pat to the feeling and letting the fan base think that they still have a shot. So as it seems like the teams at the top should be bolstering from the bottom feeders of Major League Baseball, it's not that simple. There are a lot of teams that feel like they're still in this, and a lot of trades that are being left out, in the air, where they are throwing ideas at each other left, right, and center. You're hearing all kinds of different names being put out there. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a very tense 18 hours for both fan bases, both the Yankees and the Mets.
Yankees have acquired within the last hour of this recording, Figgy. Yankees have made a trade with the Chicago White Sox to acquire an outfielder, Austin Slater. Yeah, Austin Slater. He's hitting .236 with 5 home runs, 11 RBIs in 51 games this year. He's bandied about. He's been in the league since 2017, played a number of years, 3, 6, 8 years with the San Francisco Giants. 32 years old when you look at him. So, I mean, that is the latest New York Yankee is Austin Slater. I don't know. I mean, that really doesn't do much for me. They acquired Ryan McMahon from Colorado, Ahmed Rosario from Washington, now Austin Slater from the Chicago White Sox. I guess, he's been okay this year for Chicago. He's another guy that you can throw into the mix if you're the New York Yankees, but not necessarily one of those big moves that moves the needle for the Bombers.
Yeah, what you're reading about or hearing about is most likely a platoon with Dominguez, as Dominguez numbers from the right side are not nearly as impressive. Right. Yeah, so they're looking to bolster against left-handed pitchers, something they, I guess, struggle with. But that's not exactly the kind of move you thought they should be making. Again, what kind of move should the Yankees be making? It all depends on how the health of Aaron Judge and how soon you think he's going to be back and be effective as a DH, since he won't be playing the field. So you needed an extra outfielder anyway. I know Ahmed Rosario can play some outfield, but it seems like they're just going to be okay with getting some peripheral around the edge type players.
Yeah, I just don't think that's good enough. I mean, I really don't. And you might say McMahon's not a peripheral player. I mean, he's not exactly.
He was an all-star 2 years ago.
Right, I get it in Colorado. I mean, but listen, it's fine. It's not one of those moves that are going to go out there, I think, necessarily go out and put this team over the top. Yeah, a lot of it hinders on the health of Aaron Judge. I mean, that's really where we're at here with the New York Yankees. Is he back in the lineup? And when he's back in the lineup, he's going to be the designated hitter. So, I mean, he's going to weaken the lineup as well, because you have the fear of God of playing Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield. So now you're going to conceivably take Stan's bat in the lineup. Or if you stick him in the outfield, you're crossing your fingers, holding your breath that he doesn't suffer some lower body injury that has him out for the next 2 months. So, so that's where we're at. You get Volpe's defense at shortstop, which continues to be an issue. Another couple errors last night. A terrible throw to Jazz Chisholm trying to turn a double play early in that game. And then double clutching a ball and throwing low to Paul Goldschmidt, who probably should have scooped it, because Goldschmidt's that kind of defender at first base. But still, Figgy, I mean, that continues to be an issue. Boone continues to defend him. Judge on the IL. Freed didn't look good early. He looked good late. Williams made you sweat late in the game as well. The Yankees won a baseball game, and, so far, as Brian Cashman said 2.5 weeks ago, we're going to go to town. Well, it's, McMahon, Rosario, and now a guy in Austin Slater that I would say a majority of baseball fans here in New York City have never heard of. has never happened.
And what you're really more concerned about is what you already have that isn't moving anywhere. Like a guy like Anthony Volpe, and yes, he's hit some home runs. He's got 5 home runs since the All-Star break. He has 15 on the season, so a third of his home runs coming since the All-Star break. There are moments, especially immediately afterwards, where you hit the 2 home runs, 4 RBI game against Atlanta, and the Yankees were able to come back and win that game 12-9. That you felt like, okay, maybe he's returning to the form of a hitter that, looks like a major league hitter. After all that's said and done, he's had 11 games since the All-Star break. He's batted .237, which has bumped him up from a .212 average or a .214 average that he had going into the break to a .216 average. So we're still at the same guy. And the defensive miscues continue to happen. And I don't know what else can be said. I don't know. Did you ever get a chance to watch that John Boy interview with Boone?
I did. It was entertaining.
It was. And here's the thing, like, I still cannot comprehend or wrap my mind around like how John Boy has gotten this to happen and to have the candidness to be able to ask the questions or even say what he wants to say right to Aaron Boone's face and, push him for answers. And Boone has, for the most part, been very candid back throughout these interviews that he does with John Boy. But this was one that, took it to another level where, he's trying to defend his players. I get it. And, he says, we want to see that these guys they care. And he's like, they're not robots. I get that they're not robots, but you've raised them to answer questions a certain way. You raise them to not let anybody in, or you raise them. And for the Yankees, as far as I've known playing against them throughout my whole baseball career, they have had a certain way of doing things with their PR that shields them, from the media continuing to attack. Because if the media attacks their players or asks the wrong question too many times, they are told, hey, you might not get a chance to ask another question. I mean, They are told, you get a little smack on the wrist for, pushing too many buttons. So if you want to ask questions of the Yankees, you have to kind of leave certain things alone and, let those cliches just be what you write about, even though, inside that can't be the way the guy's feeling. It can't be. There's no way.
No. I mean, right. I agree with you. Listen, I respect and admire Boone for, even in the wake of basically overwhelming evidence, he's still supportive. Like, he is a foxhole guy, right? I mean, he's just going to go out there and, he's going to tell you the same cliches, and he's going to defend his players to the high heavens. And Figgy, whether Yankee fans like it or not, that's what the Yankees want. That's it. That's what the Yankees want. So if you want to go out there and say, well, fire Boone, Boone's the problem. You and I have had these conversations off the air, a little bit on the air, whether it be here or on Sports Nation Nightly. I don't think Boone is the biggest problem with the New York Yankees, but when you're the manager, you can't go out there and fire all the players. So the roster, to me, and how the roster is put together and how they evaluate players and how they ask players to do things that they're uncomfortable doing, makes little to no sense. So, Boone's going to go out there and defend his player just like he would defend, the last guy on the roster. He's not going to throw him under the bus. That's just the way it works today in today's day and age of Major League Baseball, really in today's day and age of professional sports.
I know, but for he's someone who has worked in the media. He's someone who has played the game a long time, been a baseball lifer, raised in the game. The easiest question to ask him is this what Boone baseball is all about? Is this, right? Because that's what it has to be, right? You don't get much say nowadays in how the roster is created. You don't get much say in how even the lineups are created. There's a whole staff that goes into that, and they tell you they know best. It's no longer the manager sitting there going, I'm playing on a hunch. I know this guy's due. This guy, is on a hot streak. They don't care anymore. The guy could have 3 home runs the night before. He's sitting. Why? Because it's a lefty-lefty matchup. We can't have him in the lineup. Says who? So we don't see that anymore. So for me, the question is, and I think one of the reasons why Boone was hired is because he knew about how to handle the media, or how he could, basically pacify the media with the right cliches and phrases. But it's been 8 years of hearing the same thing. It's been 8 years of the same message from year one, where John Boy brought back, interviews from year one. And it's the same cliches over and over again. It's right here in front of us. It's this, it's that, like all those different things about Boone. And yes, he's fiery. And yes, he'll defend his players. We see how many times he's been thrown out. How many times is he defending one pitch in the strike zone and get on an umpire's bad side, where, 9 times out of 10, you figure it's got to be the umpire that's going, oh my God, I got to make this call because otherwise I'm going to hear it from Booney, or I'm going to make this call because of Booney, because this guy is aggravating me. I'm going to try and find a way to if it's on the peripherals, on the corners. And we've seen umpires, be that way with Boone, and it rubs off on the players as well. So I think that one question that has to be asked him is this Boone baseball?
Question. Yeah. I mean,
that's how I want to be remembered, because if I am fired, that's all we know about it, right? Didn't care about defense. We the whole thing about left-handed power hitting, especially in Yankee Stadium throughout the 8 years, we finally got some left-handed power hitting over the last 2 years.
Right. I think it's a fair question to ask, but I don't think the manager necessarily has the control or anywhere close to the control of a team that he wants to.
No doubt. Well, you can get Alexa. You can get Alexa to make the decisions now.
Arrows, he's going to take it for the entire organization. So I think Boone, doesn't like the fact of playing sloppy baseball. I guess the lack of accountability behind the scenes and really throughout the course of the organization, accountable. We hear it now in football and spring when they're going through training camp in terms of what it means to be a Giant or what it means to be a Lion or a Jet or this or that. We're going to define what it is, accountability, culture within the building. That's where I think it's soured when you're looking at the New York Yankees in terms of what's acceptable and what isn't. And the rationalization from Volpe at times, especially in that Toronto series when they were up north, when he made 2 boneheaded decisions. And we've talked about this before, Figgy, and he tells you after the game, well, we're taught to be aggressive. Well, that's not really – it's right to be aggressive. Like if you're on the base pass and you're trying to go home, second to home, and you're forcing the outfielder to make a perfect throw to get
correct.
And you know what? If he does and he beats you, but it's a bang play at the plate, you know what? You tip your cap. Like I have no issue with the runner going. Like being aggressive with what Volpe did, or being aggressive, sending Giancarlo Stanton on a single to the left from second to home. That's stupid. Like that's not aggressive. That's bad baseball. Like we can understand the difference, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I think that's one of the things is that no matter what, when you watch the baseball, it's not about the talent level. You got three guys in the lineup that are MVPs. 4 guys. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting Stanton was an MVP as well. So you got 4 guys in the lineup that are MVPs. Half your lineup has been MVPs in baseball. So you can't say it's talent level. You can't say you're waiting for the youth, the influx of youth. These are the best that you have as the young players in Volpe, Wells, and Dominguez. Then this is what you have, but they have to play to a higher level. They have to have the accountability. They have to have that. I think when you're given an opportunity and you have to play your way into that position, into that job security, then it's a little different, right? Like when you're just given a job and it's like, there's nobody behind you. I got nothing to worry about. Who's coming up? Who are you going to take? Who's going to take away my job even for a couple of days? You're going to have Peraza out there? No, you don't want that. So it's a level of comfort that is alarming at times because they're held to such high graces when they come up as Yankees, and you just give them a long leash and you try hope for the best. But I mean, the good, you got to take the good with the bad, right? But usually there's more negatives than you've seen positives out of Volpe this year.
Yeah, so far, Cashman at the deadline, it's been Slater, Ahmed Rosario, and Ryan McMahon. And if you think that's the answer to the question, I ask you, what's the question? We'll see exactly what Cashman Company do over the course of the next 17 plus hours. We'll come back. Huge sigh of relief for the Mets. We'll explain. They have an afternoon affair wrapping up their series out in San Diego today. We'll get into that. And maybe we'll talk a little cheesecake as well. They did on the morning show.
I like it.
Figgy did. We'll talk about our favorite cheesecakes because it's National Cheesecake Day. It's Figgie and the Moose. Marc Malusis, Nelson Figueroa with you right here on Pix 11 Plus. Welcome back. It's Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus, and Figgie, another tough night for the Mets bullpen. Brazoban sent down. Reliever they call up, gives up a huge bomb to Manny Machado late in the game. Mets lose it 7-1. They've now lost 2 straight after their 7-game winning streak. But the huge sigh of relief for the New York Mets is the foul ball off the foot of Juan Soto, which caused him to leave the game last night. X-rays were negative. So he's day-to-day. He's got a right foot contusion. So that's a positive for the New York Mets, because if we were talking about Soto, breaking a bone in his foot, being out a significant portion, if not all, the rest of the regular season, we'd be having a completely different conversation on this Wednesday than we are right now. So that's the positive, even in a loss, but still, that bullpen is a disaster. I mean, it really is. They acquired Soto from the Baltimore Orioles like that, even though he gave up the walk-off hit the night before. Diaz has done his job this year for the most part. It's the setup guys that have been overworked and have been gassed, and it was about time Brazoban got sent down, because he's been terrible for a while.
Oh, you can't go back. I mean, you go back a full month of appearances, and he's had over a 6 ERA. And as a reliever, I mean, I think in the last 14 appearances, it's over a 9, maybe 10 ERA even. And that's just counting the runs that he's given up that are his, not counting the inherited runners. Inherited runners is where a reliever comes in, and his job is to keep those runs from scoring. That's why you're being brought into situations. That's why, especially a bridge guy like Brazoban, where the starter tries to give you a little bit more than 5. He gives you 5 1/3. And we've seen how many times Peterson would go, into the 7th and 8th inning and leave a guy on or 2 guys on, and all of a sudden, here we go. There's where the runs score. Brazoban was at one point doing the job at a very high level, had under 2 ERA, but that has creeped up and been blown away as of recently. And I had to see him get sent down. It was inevitable. Davinsky, of course, is a guy who's had success at the major league level, a power changeup guy. Last night, he threw that first changeup to Machado and he fouled it back. And they were even talking on the broadcast, wow, look at Manny Machado's reaction. Like he knows he just missed that one. And then he gave him another one. And it's the 3-run home run that puts the game away with the Mets. It was only a 2-1 ball game going into the 6th. Budo implodes and is not able to get anybody out. They hang a 5 spot on Jose Budo, who's, again, another one of the guys that has pitched a lot, been counted on to get the job done as a bridge guy. This is where we're seeing the starters kind of stay at around 5 innings. This is like what happens normally in April, May, not normally what happens in July, August, September, where you need to stretch these guys out. We're seeing them kind of coddle these guys around that 82, 85 pitch count and only 5 innings, because they feel like they can go to the bullpen, but it's not working. These guys have been taxed. They've been worn out. You've been through almost 40 pitchers already, and they continue to churn them out. I don't know how many transactions. I've been trying to find this number. I wanted to see how many transactions is the record for a Mets team in a season, because it seems like every day you're seeing the Mets sending somebody up, somebody down, DFAing somebody, bringing them back. Garcia's been back twice. They acquired Soto. Soto's been in back-to-back games. We know Diaz can't pitch, 3 out of 4 games. All those little things are starting to add up, and it is a huge concern for the New York Mets, where they have to add at least 1 or 2 relievers to really help lighten the load.
Yeah, I think Garcia is one of those relievers that has no options, so you can't get rid of him, and he's actually pitched pretty well. I think it's being deathly afraid of the starters getting hurt, Figgy, but at some point you got to look at it and say, well, this is not necessarily working. I mean, it just is. We don't have enough quality arms back into the bullpen to consistently kind of look at and ask them to go out there and carry the load night in and night out. And let's be honest, Figgy, the other aspect is that you look at it. I think John Harper sent out this tweet. It was on SNY after the game. You look at, both Alonso and you look at Lindor since, I believe, June the 13th. Two of the lowest batting averages in all of Major League Baseball. And then you look at Juan Soto has also cooled off a little bit. Now he's dealing with that contusion in his right foot. I mean, this offense here, if those 3 guys are going to struggle, or if Soto's going to miss multiple games due to this contusion, and you've got Alonso and Lindor cooling off, Nimmo, Vientos, Alvarez, that group, McNeil, they're not good enough to be able to carry this team offensively.
Yeah, and we've seen them have their moments. We've seen the young Mets have carried them for a few of these games in the last week or so, and it's been exciting because you think that you are going to get some regular production out of the top of the lineup. And 0 for 31 is a very long time to go for Lindor. Had two games in a row where he had multiple hits, and you felt like he was back to his old form. It's a very weird thing that we're seeing in baseball with the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of these slumps that they go into, these prolonged slumps, and how the top of the lineup, it was neutralized. Top 6 hitters, I think, or top 5 hitters at least, 0 for all the way through, and it's a concern. And of course, Soto being out for any amount of time really makes you wonder what this team would be without Soto. Even when he wasn't at his best, he was still getting on base. He was still scoring runs. In fact, we looked at it right before the All-Star break, and it was like 36 games and 36 games of Soto. It was about the same amount of runs scored when he was hitting well than when he was, batting in the low 200s. So he always finds a way to get on, always finds a way to score runs. And that's always important, especially again with Pete Alonso starting out as hot as he was. We haven't seen that in a minute now. We've seen his power numbers have dropped off severely from that hot stretch that he was on in the beginning. Marc Vientos is coming back a little bit. We see the power stroke from him and his capabilities of what he's doing. But for the most part, those top 4 guys are going to be what, stirs the drink. And other than Nimmo, I think it was, in the last 10, 11 games, they were batting, under 150.
Terrible.
The top 3 guys other than Nimmo, and that can happen. And even though it had been happening, they were still winning ball games, which is the Mets have a strange way of doing it. And that's the thing that you like about this team, is that it doesn't hinge on one batter, right? It doesn't hinge on 2 guys being in or out of the lineup, that they find ways of getting production. And there's different ways that they can beat you. They have speed. They have, some guys that can hit with runners in scoring position. That has always been an issue all year long, no matter what, with their success. But I think it's one of those things that it will round itself into form, and hopefully at the right time when they need it the most. But it's perplexing to see it happen so often.
It is, and you're looking at a Brewer team now in the National League that has the best record in all of Major League Baseball after taking the last 2 against the Chicago Cubs. You obviously have the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll see what Stearns and company do over the course of the next 17 plus hours before the MLB trade deadline, 6:00 tomorrow night. You've got Yu Darvish, Clay Holmes are the starters this afternoon out in beautiful San Diego in the finale of that series. It is National Cheesecake Day, so let's close it out with a little bit of dessert. So you did it with Marisol this morning on Pix 11, and you had a tremendous amount of different style cheesecakes. What is if I'd ask you your go-to cheesecake, what would it be, Figgy?
For me, I'm old fashioned. I grew up on Junior's Cheesecakes here in Brooklyn. And I would think the strawberry, simple little strawberry topping, and the one strawberry sitting right in the middle, chop up the little piece of strawberry with every spoonful of cheesecake. Just a simple guy, but I do enjoy a good one. Now, do you like it more cake and then cheesecake, like a yellow cake cheese? We have one of those today too.
I don't like the mix of I'm not a big fan of the mix.
Not a lot of people are. That was the everybody voted on that one, and not a lot of people were big fans of that.
Yeah, like if I'm getting cheesecake, I want cheesecake. I do like the traditional, like a nice traditional, like Italian cheesecake with the strawberry on top and a little sugar and stuff like that. I'm a big fan. We were talking a little bit off the air before we started the podcast. The Oreo cheesecake is
a good one.
I mean, it's just, you started talking about the fact you delved into one of those this morning. And
I did.
Rumble a little bit. I was like, really, Oreo cheesecake? It's fantastic.
Oh, it was perfect too, and the way they had the cookie crumble all around, and actually like some bigger pieces of the Oreo cookie. It was really, really good. I thought you'd be a more of a key lime.
I do like key lime.
Key lime pie, but I'm saying that they also have like the key lime with the cheesecake on top.
Yeah, you know what I've noticed though? Like I've tried like a key lime donut.
And not the same.
Great. Not the same. Like I've tried key lime cheesecake. It's okay. Like it's not the same. Like the key lime pie.
It's its own thing.
it's his own thing. Like,
yeah, I get it.
So refreshing, resets the palate. Like,
Look at you. You're salivating. You're salivating.
I am. Hold on. Let me wipe my mouth. Hold on. I am salivating. Like key lime pie is just like amazing. Like, it's just.
Look at your smile, dude.
I love it. Puts a smile on my face. Anytime I walk into a bake shop and they've got anything key lime, I'm like, what is that? What do you got there?
You do the little dance.
Yeah. I'm in my happy place. That's
great. I hear you, brother. We all have that one thing that makes us go, and that's your thing.
That is my thing, right? Smiling ear to ear. Like, I'm proud as a peacock. Like, pull my feathers out. Anyway, thanks for being with us. Make sure to watch us at 7 p.m. tonight, Sports Nation nightly. For Nelson Figueroa, I'm Marc Malusis. Go have yourself a nice piece of cheesecake today and enjoy all the baseball. We'll be back with you tomorrow right here on Pix 11 Plus for another edition of Figgie and the Moose.